Modern life is shaped by screens. From how we work and learn to how we connect, shop, travel, or simply pass the time. And with every tap, swipe, or scroll, the demand for meaningful digital experiences keeps rising. But creating those experiences isn't simple. Understanding what people want, what they actually need, and how those two intersect takes enormous effort from designers and teams. Research, prototypes, testing, rethinking. The work behind a single interaction is often invisible, yet incredibly intense. But effort alone doesn't guarantee impact. A beautiful interface falls flat if users don't feel understood, and features fail if they don't support the systems behind them. In the end, design isn't defined by the effort we invest, but by the change it creates. The real challenge then is to design work that moves people forward and build systems strong enough to last. Over the last couple of days, we saw participants of the Impossible Design Challenge wrestling with the problem statement. They've interacted with the client. They also had guided sessions by the mentors to help them identify the core problems. And yet, these teams, made up of talented working professionals with years of experience, seem to be struggling to get the desired outcome. But why?
When you're an individual contributor, you're appreciated for your outcomes. As you get a little higher, you're appreciated for the process that you do. And then as you get a little higher, you're probably appreciated for the environment you create for the process to succeed. So what happens is people assume that just because I'm a really successful individual contributor and I got promoted to the next level, I should do more of the same. That doesn't help you succeed. So in this kind of a case where our program is designed to help people transition to mid to senior level roles, they're individually very talented. And so they do their work, and that's exactly why they bring in really strong personalities into teams. And now everybody has a strong personality. They're talking to each other, and they're trying to convince each other that they have the best idea. They've forgotten how to manage teams and how to manage the process. And that's where they're struggling. So in a lot of ways, when students come through the program, they have to let go of their previous successes and their previous baggages so that they can learn the new way of working.
With that insight, we can only hope that the teams are ready for the next challenge. They have to present their team's approach to tackle the problem statement, and over the course of the next few hours, their mentors as well as their peers will hear the pitch from each team and will either laud or critique their choices. Deepak from Team 6 is the first to present and gets early feedback.
Why is it that you're thinking about a dashboard at this stage?
This is just for the sake of nomenclature. It makes it easier for us to, keep it at the back of our mind when we are actually thinking about the design problem, not just a dashboard.
Harshit from Team 5 is also cautioned against using a similar approach. His team has been focusing on the pain point of data visualization, something voiced by the client. But what is the harm here?
My concern is it's too small a scope. You may want to think about what will the users do after they visualize the data, what afterwards, right? You may also want to think, well, how do these users interact with other users in the system? I think what you've done is the bare minimum, what they've said, I want a visualization, that's what you're giving them. You now need to expand the scope and see what else you can do, because think about going from a minimum viable product to a minimum lovable product. Okay, cool.
Next is Ramana from Team 7, and although their team's presentation is well received, Prasad is quick to comment on their choice of a non-standard tool for presentation, which was distracting.
Do you think that was the best software to use for the presentation?
I think Figma, but I am biased. I love Figma.
No, the point is throughout the presentation, all I'm seeing is you're jumping from one screen to the other.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it is easy for you to prepare probably, but it is very difficult for the audience to follow.
Next time I'll.
Right? So when you're choosing the software or the medium in which you want to communicate, always think what is easy for the other person to consume. Okay? And then you will make the right decision. So in my book, Figma or any of those tools that require you to zoom in, zoom out, travel all over the place are not the best way to present. All right, cool, thank you.
Yakshit from Team 1 is appreciated for heading in the right direction and is asked to pay attention to the finer details.
I think you have a reasonable product with this. Okay. However, the challenge is you need to think through them a little bit more and make sure you're not missing anything. Okay. And you also want to think about, especially when you're talking notifications and visualization, you want to make sure that the interconnectedness of those experiences are also thought through. All right, cool.
Team 4, represented by Spurti, is praised for their creative approach of grouping the users by their real-world responsibilities and is also given an insight into trying to be more accountable through their design thinking approach.
What is your design accountable for? An example is, I've told you there's a fire, okay? Versus, I'm going to give you the phone and say 911, do you want to call 911? Press the button here, right? There's a difference. One is accountable to the outcome, the other one is accountable to just passing on the information. So I would encourage you to think aggressively in terms of solving that part of the problem.
Team 2, represented by Pragya, has a tougher road ahead. They, along with a few other teams, have not been able to narrow down the scope and pinpoint the core experiences that they need to fix to address the problem statement.
You haven't done the experiences. The last slide that you did talked about the users you want to focus on. So I think you may want to think about the presentation format and the content you're presenting. Because the core thing that everybody's looking at, what is the user, what are the experiences, right? Everything else is a little bit of a supporting information, right? So yeah, I would say your next challenge would be to identify the experiences, because that is going to define how well your product is going to show up, okay?
Everyone had the same problem statement. Did any team manage to surprise the mentors?
So I think it was Team 8 that had 2 participants. And initially they were really worried that they were not going to do a good job because they were just 2 and everybody had 5. But turns out they had a very surprising turnaround and they did a really good job. They were in the top 4 or top 5 in terms of their presentation. But then the same thing, when you look at some of the teams that you think would be superior performers, which is there's Deepak's team, or there's Bhaskar's team, or there's even Achyut's team, they struggled because everybody had opinions. They felt they were right, but as a team, they were not able to reach a consensus and move forward.
If collaboration is so difficult, did any team actually stand out for making an effort?
Deepak's team, they were the first ones who got their prioritized users nailed down. So that's one team. They have a really good coordination. They have a lot of drama within them as to, they're friends actually. So, one person has another style and then the other person has another style. So Deepak is more of, I want things clear and I want things clear now so that I can be free of uncertainty. While the Rajesh is more like, I need more information and I need more data to be more confident. So the comfort levels are very different.
So when it comes to ambiguity, some prefer having outright clarity, while others are comfortable discovering it out for themselves as they move forward. Which other teams stood out for their efforts?
The second team is Bhaskar's team. And the reason why I'm saying that is they presented yesterday and somehow they did the best presentation that was there. There are clear leaders who are acting as clear supporters. So, for example, if I look at Bhaskar, he is giving a very fair chance to all the other team members also. He's not making it look like, he knows a lot and nobody else is, having that kind of potential. I think he has managed to have a very safe kind of an equation with everybody else, in which he is also giving or supporting other people to take initiatives.
So, what exactly is essential for collaboration?
When you have no facilitators, you don't have a goal of what you're trying to achieve in that discussion. A 5-minute discussion ends up being a 45-minute fight. And I think it wasn't the fact that they didn't know what was correct, but that it was the interpersonal dynamic that delayed the decision making, because they kept getting distracted and they kept losing time. And so at the end, they were all frustrated that they weren't able to kind of achieve what they wanted.
After the presentations are done, it is time for Prasad to give a common critique and some much needed guidance to nudge them in the right direction. He starts by reminding them of the Marshmallow Challenge and how it relates to the concept of minimum viable product, or the MVP.
One team put the marshmallow on really fast, okay, did the minimum viable product, left it there, and they said, okay, we're done, right? The other team waited till the last minute to put the marshmallow, but they were saved because they had engineering background and they were able to build a robust structure, right? The point is, which team do you think should have technically won? I would say the team that put the marshmallow on first should have won, because they had put the marshmallow on, they had more time to reflect on it, right? They had more time to build on top of it, right? So the same way, when you think about it, don't stop, don't stagnate, right? Most of you, when I hear is like, oh, we're going to do this dashboard, we're going to do the dashboard. Essentially what you're doing is you put the marshmallow, you've identified the minimum product and just left it there, and then you're kind of afraid to shake it, right? You're afraid to move beyond that minimum product. All right. So that is what I would like to challenge you guys, is like, how are you going to move beyond? Like, if you just do that, okay, the client is going to be fine. I told you to do it, you did it. Now, the other perspective is, okay, you got your minimum viable product. Now start thinking what else you can do. What are the problems you need to solve? Try and push the boundaries. I see a number of solutions that can succeed. Okay. But now the difference is now thinking through the details. How are you going to convert that from the MVP to the minimum lovable product?
Our mentor Saurabh weighs in on this important bit of advice.
People tend to form patterns and narrow things down according to their comfort of understanding. Almost 60 to 70% of people only talked about visualization and dashboard in their presentations when they were presenting their scope. But they missed out on things like, what happens before you visualize and what happens after you visualize. So for example, before visualization, you make a query to get some visualization in place, like, I want this kind of variant and this kind of volume and this kind of region. So that's also a very complex process as of now for the current users. Nobody talked about it. People need to interpret whatever visualization that is there, and they need to take actions. So only few of the people touched upon those aspects.
This brings us to the next important piece of insight and a critical conceptual framework where Prasad compares the user interface to a sensor and an actuator.
A sensor is something that simply gets data. Okay. An actuator is something that reacts to something. Okay. So when you're thinking about your interface, is your interface a passive interface that is simply giving the user the information? Or is your interface an interface that is enabling activities, future activities, coordination, relationships, all of that stuff, right? So think through those elements. Like, this will at a very philosophical level, if you can understand, like, is my sensor passive or aggressive, or is it helping make changes? Is it simplifying things? Is it reducing the speed of making decisions? Speed of making decisions does not simply mean that I present you the information. It could also mean that all the people that need to be involved in making the decision are very quickly looped in. Right? So speed itself has many, many subtleties to that word. Okay? So please now think through these subtleties and ask yourself the question, are you just going for the minimum or are you going for the next level on top? You don't have to go like 100%, right? If today you have done 50%, now say tomorrow, how do I go like 60%? Day after tomorrow, say, how do I go 75%?
Finally, it is time for Prasad to comment on the actual art of presentation and the common presentation errors that people made.
Majority of the presentations, were you happy with those presentations? Right? So the point is, when we spend the last minute, let's get our deck ready, and it will never work. It will absolutely never work. Okay? And the same message will come to you every day, because each one of you, because today one of your team members did it, tomorrow it will be your chance. Right? So you will also make the same mistake unless you learn from your team members. One of the piece of feedback is, I think, with Harshit, right? You were using that Figma slides or whatever, right? Now, did you know that there's a play feature on top where you can play your slide deck?
I did try playing, but it was asking me to sign in.
Right. So why would you use Figma then? Right. Again, think about it, okay? Figma slides and all these are things that are great for designers because we are comfortable with that, okay? But when you're going and presenting in a business environment, do you think your client is going to be comfortable, is going to be forgiving of like you zooming out, zooming in, dragging something, making something? No, you don't have the time, right? So always think about when you're presenting, don't present according to the tool that you're comfortable with. Choose the tools and the modalities that will get you the best impact for your presentation. Understand the difference. One is going for outcome, one is going for convenience, your convenience. Okay? So be very planned, deliberate what you're presenting, how you're presenting, and if necessary, you don't need to practice, you just need to go out with your team and very quickly look at those 4 slides, practice it and say, if I'm able to do it, if I'm able to talk about it in 7 minutes, how do I talk about it in 3 minutes? Now, that doesn't mean you speak really fast. Okay? You speak slowly, that's okay, but reduce the amount of content you're communicating. Focus on the content that's most important. Okay? So, from that perspective, I think, congratulations. You guys have reached a place where I think you are comfortable. Now, let's start pushing to go beyond what we are imagining today.
The day is done. The presentations are over, and the teams will now gather for a session on reflections. Something which may help them identify what might be holding them back. In fact, the mentors have already observed this for some teams.
Achyut's team again, right? So because of the compatibility issue that they have, they are holding each other back, and people who should speak to be able to accelerate and get the things done are also not speaking. So that's one group, but there is another group also, which is Harshit's group. So they kind of solve the problem fast on their boards, but they are not able to get it to their, proposal. So somehow when they are discussing, they get there, but when they need to finalize something or to present something, I think they are still doing a, okay work, not that great of a job. Well, if I talk about Mohan and Gurnam, they have interesting ideas and they contribute, but I think the overall thing is not coming out together yet.
We ask Saurabh if anyone has surprised them with remarkable improvements in a very short span of time.
Maria is there. We thought that, okay, she might be struggling or she might not be getting the concepts. So that was the case, but when she did a apprenticeship with one of our clients, she did really well, and not just in terms of doing the design, but in terms of presenting it, she did a really good job.
How do the mentors plan to help more participants like Maria over these 9 days?
See, to be able to push someone like that, I mean someone like them, the thing is that maybe they are not comfortable, right? So to tap into their comfort, which is asking questions like, what were the things that you liked the most about today, right? What was your takeaway, or what was the thing that you enjoyed the most today? So that kind of questions, if we intervene with that kind of questions, they'll get some validation that okay, they are talking about what I liked and it's something that I'm comfortable sharing. So maybe that can give a boost.
And helping the participants overcome this communication gap is the actual goal of the reflection sessions at the end of each day.
The key thing is that somehow communicate. Don't worry about the language. In fact, there are a lot of UX terminologies that are out there that we don't even use, right? Because we believe in the systematic framework of thinking, like, first you think about problem, then you think about outcome, and so on. Like, there is a framework that feeds one into the other. Not about the words, it's not about the language, it's just that make an attempt today, make 2 attempts tomorrow, and that is how you progress.
We ask Prasad if people realize change of mindset is needed.
I think it's a learning that's yet to happen. When we looked at all the presentations, none of them were exciting in terms of content, right? But they were thinking like individual contributors, like, okay, what do I want to communicate to my boss, right? They weren't thinking, what does my audience want to take away from my presentation? And so they were creating the decks and all that stuff from their perspective. And so it takes a little bit of time. I mean, I think intellectually they know that they need to transition, but just that they have to get the same feedback multiple times. And my hope is over the next 7.5 days now, or 8 days, people will hit the same problem again and again and again until they figure it out.
So are they any closer to the marshmallow yet?
They are a bit closer, but one of the challenges is they will keep forgetting it. So when an individual is put under pressure, our natural tendency is to go back to our comfortable style of working, what we are used to. Here they have to learn a different way of working while under pressure. And that's exactly why this program is structured the way it is. Because you can put the pressure on, and then every time they go back to the old way of working, we say, no, change it, right? And you do that over the next 9 days, you constantly do that, it sticks to your mind. So it's a little bit of reprogramming your habits and ways of thinking, but it takes time. And so that's what we need to work with.
Finally, we ask Saurabh what's in store for the teams over the next few days.
Again, a lot of challenging experiences. I mean, in day 1, a lot of people were enjoying and, they were happy and smiling and all those things. From day 2, we could see a lot of sweat, concerned faces, and also at the same time, excited faces. We'll have more intervention strategies to help them think broader. And we are also kind of playing not as a good cop or bad cop, but a teacher that challenges you versus a teacher that gets you closer to your outcomes. So Prasad is playing that teacher that challenges you. So he intentionally gives them some data very clearly, but some data not at all. While on the other side, I am being a person who is like, I'm helping them do things hand-on. I'm giving them feedback as to, did you think about that? Did you think about this? And stuff like that.
A long and tough day is over. And even as people let off a little steam by sharing a few jokes and making light of the tough sprint they have experienced over the last couple of days, they somehow know that things are about to get even tougher. Stay tuned as the Impossible Design Challenge continues.